The night was cold, the kind that carried silence heavier than thunder. A black luxury car lay half destroyed in a ditch by the side of a quiet mountain road. The air smelled of burnt rubber and gasoline. Inside the wreck, a young woman, her elegant white suit stained with blood, struggled to breathe. She couldn't move her legs. Her phone had slipped from her trembling fingers, its screen shattered beyond repair. "Please don't hurt me, I can't walk," she whispered into the darkness as footsteps approached. The sound of boots crunching over gravel drew closer. She shut her eyes, expecting the worst. But instead of cruelty, she felt warmth. A man's rough but careful hands brushed the glass away from her cheek. "You're going to be okay," he said quietly, his voice steady like the calm before dawn. She tried to look at him, unkempt hair, stubble, eyes full of something she hadn't seen in years, sincerity. Backhand index pointing right. "If you believe in kindness, redemption, and second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep telling stories that touch hearts." When she woke again, the faint crackle of a fireplace replaced the sound of sirens. The woman, Elena Hart, CEO of Hart Dynamics, was lying on an old couch inside a small cabin. The air smelled of pine and smoke. Her legs were bandaged, and beside her sat the same man who had pulled her from the wreck. His name, she would soon learn, was Daniel Cross, a single father who lived in the mountains with his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Elena tried to sit up, but pain shot through her spine like lightning. Daniel steadied her gently. "Don't move too fast. You're lucky to be alive," he said, his voice low. Lucky? She didn't feel lucky. The last thing she remembered before the crash was an argument with her business partner, a man who had betrayed her trust, stolen her designs, and left her career on the verge of collapse. She had driven into the storm that night, desperate to escape the lies, the headlines, the investors calling her a failure. Days passed slowly. Her phone was dead, and the nearest town was miles away. She was trapped in the cabin with a stranger and his daughter, relying on them for everything: food, warmth, safety. For a woman who once commanded boardrooms and multi-million-dollar deals, being helpless felt unbearable. She hated that she couldn't even walk to the door without Daniel's arm around her. Yet, despite her pride, she began to notice the quiet beauty in their world: the simple meals Daniel cooked over the stove, the sound of Lily's laughter as she read fairy tales aloud, the peace that wrapped around them like a forgotten song. Daniel wasn't like anyone Elena had known. His life was hard, raising a child alone after his wife's passing, working odd jobs in town, fixing cars for cash, but there was dignity in the way he carried his burdens. He never complained when Elena snapped in frustration or demanded things that weren't possible. He never raised his voice. He just looked at her with patient eyes and said, "You'll heal, one day at a time." One morning, she watched from the window as he chopped firewood. His breath came out in clouds against the cold, his movements strong but weary. Something in her chest stirred a strange mix of admiration and guilt. For years, she had built her empire by outworking everyone, by never showing weakness. But here, weakness was all she had left, and somehow it didn't feel shameful anymore. Weeks went by. The swelling in her legs reduced, though she still couldn't stand without help. Daniel built her a small wooden walker from old scrap, his hands rough but careful as he carved the handles. When she took her first few trembling steps, Lily clapped and shouted, "You did it, Miss Elena." Tears burned Elena's eyes, not from pain, but from something deeper, a warmth she hadn't felt in years. One night, as rain battered the windows, Daniel sat beside her, mending a torn blanket. He told her about his late wife, a nurse who had died of cancer 3 years ago. "I used to be angry at the world," he admitted, I thought life was unfair, but Lily kept me going. She needed me to be strong, even when I didn't want to be. Elena stared at the flames. I used to think strength meant control, she murmured. Now I'm not sure I know what it means at all. The silence that followed wasn't empty, it was full of understanding. When spring came, the snow began to melt, and so did the walls around Elena's heart. She had learned to walk again, slow but steady. Daniel helped her contact her company, arrange for a ride back to the city. But as she packed her few belongings, Lily hugged her tightly, whispering, "Don't forget us." For the first time in years, Elena didn't want to leave. Back in the city, everything felt different, colder, louder, lonelier. Her office tower gleamed with glass and ambition, but the people inside looked through her as if she were invisible. She had reclaimed her position as CEO, exposed the fraud, and saved her company's reputation. Yet the victory felt hollow. She missed the crackle of the fireplace, the laughter of a little girl, and the man who had saved her life without expecting anything in return. One evening, while reviewing contracts, Elena's assistant brought in a file labeled Cross Automotive Repairs Pending Partnership. Her heart skipped. Daniel's small repair shop had recently applied for a business loan through her company's foundation. She stared at his name, unable to stop smiling. Maybe fate was giving her a chance to return the kindness she'd received. The next week, she drove to his garage in the small town. The place was modest, tools scattered. A few cars lined up outside, the smell of oil and dust in the air. When Daniel saw her step out of the car, his expression froze in disbelief. "You're walking," he said softly. "I am," she smiled, leaning slightly on her cane. "Thanks to you." They talked for hours. He told her about expanding the garage, wanting to give Lily a better future. She listened, then revealed the reason for her visit. Heart Dynamics had approved a full grant for his shop, no interest, no conditions. He tried to refuse, but she stopped him. "You saved my life," she said. "Now let me help you live yours." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting pink light across the small town, Lily ran out from the back and threw her arms around Elena. "I told Daddy you'd come back," she squealed. Daniel looked at Elena, then really looked, and in that moment, neither of them needed to say anything. Some bonds weren't built by time or circumstance, but by the unspoken gratitude that changes everything. Over the following months, Elena found reasons to visit often. She helped Daniel design a new workspace, mentored him on business strategies, and slowly, their friendship deepened into something unspoken yet undeniable. She wasn't the same woman who once hid behind power and pride. She was softer now, braver in ways that didn't involve boardrooms or profits. But fate wasn't done testing them. One rainy night, a fire broke out in the garage after a short circuit. Daniel risked everything to save his daughter, and though both survived, the place was destroyed. Elena arrived as firefighters battled the flames, her heart shattering at the sight. She ran to him, ignoring the mud and the rain. "We'll rebuild," she said fiercely, gripping his hand. Together, and they did. With her help and the support of the foundation, Daniel's new garage reopened months later, bigger, safer, and named Lily's Hope Auto Care. It became a symbol of second chances, of love built not from perfection, but from perseverance. Elena never returned fully to her old life. She split her time between the city and the small town, where the air smelled of pine and coffee instead of power and deadlines. Sometimes she'd watch Daniel teaching Lily how to fix an old bicycle, laughter echoing across the yard, and she'd realize how strange life was. The woman who once feared losing control had found peace in surrendering to kindness, to healing, to love. On a quiet evening, as the sun painted the sky in soft orange hues, Elena stood beside Daniel outside the garage. Her cane rested against the wall, forgotten. She looked at him and whispered, "You changed everything, you know that." He smiled faintly. "Maybe we both did." She took his hand, and for the first time in years, she didn't feel broken or incomplete. She just felt home. Back and index pointing right. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that remind the world there's still kindness and hope. Speech will loom before you go. Comment below, would you choose love over pride if life gave you a second chance? As the evening breeze carried laughter through the air, Elena realized the truth she'd been running from all along. Sometimes, the people who heal us most are the ones we never expected to meet. And in that quiet mountain town, far from the chaos of ambition, the once broken CEO learned to walk again, not just on her feet, but into a life she never knew she needed.